Things to work with here because, you know, seeing is believing, right? And got a couple of different toys here. One of these items here, and we'll move into the live view back there, guys. One of these toys that we're using is this is a Bolt LED. It's kind of neat because I can dial it down to whatever I want. It's LED, so it's not hot. And that's daylight, and if you're shooting under tungsten, that's okay. You can turn the tungsten ones on. Is that cool? Huh? 200 watts, so you can see it's pretty bright.
Just black.
I just push the button here? Probably went to sleep.
Yes. There it is.
There we go. So you can see what there we go. You know, I'm not going to say this is a bad light, necessarily. You know, there may be a time and place for a light like that that could be very dramatic, if that's what you want. I'm the last person ever to say that doesn't work. There's definitely a place for hard light in this world. It's a great way to do it. But you can see how harsh that is. Big, bright specular, very efficient surface. We are so hot up here that by the time we get down to here, it gets dark. Now, you see this part of the apple right here that gets real dark? Why is that?
Black table.
Black table. The apple's turned down, isn't it? So what's it doing? It's reflecting the table back to me. Angle of incidence equals angle of reflection is everything in photography. It is one of the most important things to understand, that everything will reflect light back to you at the same angle that you've put the light onto the subject. So angle of incidence, angle of reflection, right up into here. Okay? This shadow up front is a shadow, but underneath the apple is not a shadow. That's a reflection of the very dark shadow coming back. We can mitigate this by taking a small light surface, or small light source here, and making it a larger light source. And after break, we're going to show you how to make a couple of these things. So those of you at home, I can actually get to say, those of you in the home audience, yeah, those of you in the home audience can join along. We made some real simple things yesterday because one of the fun things about tabletop photography is you do get to make a lot of stuff. You can go out and buy it. There's some wonderful products. Broncolor makes a great 4x5 softbox for about $28,000 that rocks. This was way less than $28,000. Can you imagine going to Target and spending $28,000? They'd probably like throw you out. This is never gonna, this check won't pay. So we took a piece of foam core and we put parchment paper, which is a cooking paper on it. Why? Because sometimes you might want to use a hot light and this will not burn. Some things burn. Burning things in the studio, bad, bad. So we're going to take this very small light source and we're going to make it a little larger. Changes things up quite a bit, doesn't it? We still have, though, this crazy specular. Am I backwards? That one right here. We still have that goofy specular there, but what is that specular? Yeah. So I move this, right? I'm starting to block out. I think it's that one over there. Sure is. So I'm blocking out. That's a very bright light compared to this one here. Now look at that apple there. Down, we have a little specular coming up over here. I got to find out where this one's coming from. No, that one's still on that side. Okay. Still on that side. So I can bring this down like this. and change the entire photograph. And that's made with the parchment paper, which I think is about $1.50 a roll, and a piece of foam core from Target. Now, question's going to come up, can this be a speed light? Sure it can, absolutely. It could be a flash, it could be a Pro Photo flash, it could be a Luma Pro, it can be anything. But the effect is we're diffusing the light here, and then we're creating a much larger source down on the apple, right about there. Now that's parchment paper. This is going to change just a little bit. We also built this. Now this is our medium level. This is built out of 4 slats of wood at Home Depot. I sell these on my website for $57.96. I thought it's worth a try. You know, Charles, what the heck? When we bring this over the top, and we get a much different look. We still have kind of a specular look to this up here because this light is very close to it, right? We have a very high-tech way of working with things. By the way, we use a clamp, and a second piece of wood, and this is really easy for you to do when you're working, is you can take this and clamp it. This is where the internet gets me, watch me be defeated by a clamp. There we go. So we can put this right here. Look at that. Is that cool? And we can move this light back. And as we move it back, Brett, this one here, we have a funky, can you pull this up? Yeah, just bring it on up. As we make this circle of light larger, keep going all the way up, we will diminish. Do you see how we're diminishing the look of the very bright specular? Let's just move it back a little bit now too. Thank you very much, right there. So we still have a nice specular on the front. Still have a nice specular on the apple there. And then we can diffuse it further if we wanted by adding a double diffusion to it. We're still getting those speculars from those lights over there, which I wish I would not have, but Brett, whiteboard. Thank you, sir.
Don, can you say again, what is that parchment paper as well?
This is shower curtain.
From Rhodey, shower curtain.
Shower curtain, yes. Cloth shower curtains, yes. Two reasons. Plastic shower curtains have blue phosphors in them to make them look white, and when you shine a light through them, they get blue real fast. So now you're gonna have to start doing some serious color correction. The second reason is they smell really bad, okay? Especially when they melt, and I've only heard that. Brett, let's clamp this to the top of a stand, sir, so I can get it right over here and kill those guys. Much better. Right there. Okay, so we know where to put this. And see, that's what you do. What I'm doing here is what you do when you're shooting tabletop. It's like, okay, where's that light coming from? We got to figure out a way to block it. Angle of incidence, angle of reflection. It's always a challenge when you're doing it. So we have, thank you, sir. Oops, we'll use this.
Okay, and you want it right around front there?
Yeah, if you can just clamp it to the top, I'll move it into position here when I see it. So we have a nice looking light for this single apple. Here's one of the things about lighting tabletop and still life you'll want to remember. Everything looks better when the light comes from here around to there. When the light comes from here, not so much. Let's show you, okay? I'm going to take this over here. And I'm going to turn the bolt off. And by the way, I love this little guy. It runs from a battery. So you can put it in your camera bag and go out with an LED, 200-watt LED light with the battery on it. That's pretty cool. This light, very complex lighting that we use here, has a tension surface mounting tool. Anyway, well, that's not really going to work very good if I put the white thing in front of the camera This is what snow looks like.
Don,
Sorry.
Art by Veda says you should do stand-up.
Actually,
Stand-up comedy.
sometimes just standing up is a job in itself. Brett, take that right over there. Thank you, sir. So let's take our apple and let's light it from the front, shall we? Boring. Really boring. There's no shape to it, you know. And this is where everybody puts their light, right? Let's put our light where we make the most boring photograph possible, here. But watch the apple as I bring it back to here. And as we go around, look at that. We got a little highlight in the table. Come around over here. We can place that specular wherever we want it. Video is reaching its limit there with that specular, but we can do things with our light back over here that are very, very cool that we can't do when the light's up front. So it's a rule of thumb, because every time anyone says never, there's a certain amount of the population who wants to go, well, really? So I won't say never. I'm just going to say that it's kind of, you know, it's kind of a rule of thumb that most things just don't look all that cool from the front, well, especially when it's in front of the lens, but you can take the same subject and move it to the back. Brett, grab a pair of cowboy boots over there, the red ones, sir. We have such a wealth of stuff to play with here. It's just amazing. So we have these great snakeskin boots. Will this focus in live view? Yeah, by George, it does focus in live view. Okay, what we have right now is we just have the lights on it. And actually, since our main light is from behind, it's not really too bad, is it? So we can take a little bit of our light here and add some nice specular across the top of it. Starts to get kind of fun, doesn't it? See how you can play with it? This is what you're doing when you're doing product and still life. Set it up, get your composition, and you start to play with it. We bring this light in from the back, play with this stuff here. Brett, small white card, like a flag, small piece, left over. What I want to do is I want to block a little bit of light out from back here. Where's my hand? I know what it is. The picture's backwards, isn't it?
We just wanted to keep you
Yes.
on your feet, Don. Can you tell us again,
Sure.
is there, from Ken _ Dyer Design, is there a reason for, ISO 1000? I thought we're just demoing
There
the
is
live
a reason
view.
for ISO 1000. It's a very good reason. That's what the camera was on last night.
I thought that he was actually, I didn't read the question, I thought he was asking about the wattage of the bulbs.
Nope, ISO 1000 that's what the camera was on. But at the same time, we did want to get some decent numbers down here, because we can go to ISO 100 and f2 on this lens. Actually, we can go to f1.4 on this lens. Trust me, look how shallow the depth of field is now at f5. I just didn't want to be down at f2 and have tiny slivers of stuff. The little one. Thank you, sir. We bring this guy right across here. And you see, one of the things I really love about, see this, how this lights up back here? Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? Like that? And then we can bring this card in, we can just darken it down back there.
So Don, can you just tell us kind of for people who are watching the card that you just pulled out, like the size of it, you know?
This is just when we cut up our foam core yesterday to make a lot of little shiny bounce cards, we just ended up with all these little pieces left over. These are gold mines. You want to save every one of them. If it was half this size, you'll want to save it, because you're going to use it at some point. And you end up with this great little box of pieces of foam core and foam and little plastic things that you can stick into things and hold things up. You know, it becomes a lot of fun. If anyone's ever remembers the fun of playing as a kid with little things, little detail things, that's kind of what this is about too. Yeah.
Can I just ask, when you're doing this, are you on your own, or do you have an assistant moving all the lights about, or do you have them all clamped up? Or
Both.
that's
If
always
it's-
my problem. I'm always trying to prop something up and.
If it's
have
a,
flash card
yeah.
and-
Well, you know what happens when you're by yourself too? You get in a hurry and you start leaning things against a Coke bottle or something.
Yeah.
And it just seems like such a good idea at the time until you bump it and it slides off the Coke bottle, hits the spoon jumps up, knocks the entire set around. I was working with a photographer's assistant quite a while ago, a good kid, hardworking kid, and we were working on a plate of soup. And the way we lit it with a beauty dish with some slats on the beauty dish just to add some places where we needed to get some dark area. And we had done about 25 Polaroids to get the exact shot. And I said, that's great, we'll shoot film. And he said, cool. And as he turned around, he just like that. And we're like, okay, back to the Polaroid box till we could find it again. So we take, I like working alone and I like working with collaboration. But a lot of times I need to be left alone to think through what I'm going to do.
So you have the camera on a remote. You just have it on a remote.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. When you're doing this kind of work, I don't think of it as the wooden one, right? I don't think of it as chimping. I really don't. I think of it as more like digital Polaroids. You're going to shoot and get the light where you want till you get the final shot. Thank you, sir. And we bring this in to the top of that. Oh, and look how pretty that hard light looks like on that leather. That's pretty cool, isn't it? I could live with that. We'll bring this in to soften it and change all kinds of manner of this light. Bring it right in like this. The closer I bring this light, the softer, the bigger the specular becomes. The larger the specular becomes and the more diffuse area around it, the more what we call softness occurs. I don't have any problem putting flags behind my soft box. So this could have you on a little boom arm right here and bring off the back, that real bright area back there. Just kind of flag it off a little bit till you get it what you want. And you can see how when you're backlighting, what we're doing is angle of incidence, angle of reflection, back into the camera.